Please welcome to stage Chuck Fawcett, President and CEO of Animax Designs, technology sponsor for today's session.
Thanks, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Wow, that's a tough act to follow here. It's great to be here at CalArts today. My name is Chuck Fawcett. I'm, as the announcement said, I'm President and CEO of Animax Designs, a Nashville, Tennessee-based company that designs and manufactures highly engineered animatronics, interactive, and puppeteer-driven characters for all the leading companies that are represented in the room today. And I also serve as a board member on the TEA Eastern Board of Directors as well. My company chose to sponsor SATE and the technology segment specifically because technology is so very important to the work that we do as we take silicone and servos and fabric and steel and bring them all together in the form of characters that become storytellers that help us share a human experience. I have the distinct honor of introducing the technology segment chair, Mr. Corey Rosen, who is Vice President of Creative Marketing for Tippett Studio, which is a San Francisco Bay Area based visual effects company that does some amazing work going back to the original groundbreaking effects that we all witnessed in a little movie called Star Wars. Any of you see that or familiar with that? Corey has a very diverse background in the creative space, spanning work as a visual effects supervisor, director, writer, and marketing and business development director. Corey provides a creative oversight, leadership, and direction for Tippett Studio's experience-based entertainment, pitches, sales, marketing, and branding efforts. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce you to Corey Rosen.
Thank you, Chuck. And thank you. Hello, everybody. Hi, my name's Corey Rosen. You might recognize me from such experiences as there will be tours of CalArts at 1 o'clock. Anybody remember that experience we had together? That was great. I am relatively new to the TEA, really to the themed entertainment space. There was something that Paul said this morning that I really liked where he started by saying, my journey to SATE began. And so I thought I would riff off of that and also off of something that Chuck just said by starting with my journey to SATE began the day that I ruined Star Wars. Which is true. I was fresh out of college, and it was my first job was working at ILM. And one of the things that they had me do, this is the early 90s, just in case you thought I was way older and had a lot of incredible work done. So it was the 90s, and there was this little re-release coming out of the Star Wars trilogy. Remember those times? And being fresh out of college, one of the things they asked me to do was to help to clean the film, to basically sanitize it digitally and physically, photochemically. I had to run the actual film, remember film, through like a cleaner and rinse it of any dust and things that had landed on it. But then there were also things like scratches and things that had appeared over the 20-some years that it existed. And so I also then took that same film into a computer and digitally, frame by frame, went through and got to touch up Star Wars, the movie that got me into this entire line of work, my entire career because of this. And so here I am now looking at these iconic shots, and I got to clean little white specks of dust from a star field. A black image with little white dots. And frame by frame, I would go back and forth between two frames and go, oh, that one shouldn't be there. And I would paint it out, and then I would scrub to the next one, and it was amazing. It really was. It was a dream job that I got to clean Star Wars, in part because things hadn't aged so well. There was some matte lines and some of the TIE fighters and some things that just didn't hold up in retrospect. There were also things that George Lucas wanted to change. He wanted to add in some controversial, but some things that the director wanted to change in the film. Anybody remember any of those things? Like what? Jabba. What else? Greedo. Right? the Death Star, new explosion. So all of those things, of course, needed some level of touch-up as well. And so the Jabba scene specifically was really exciting for me because this was a scene that was shot in the 70s with Harrison Ford and an Irish actor in a big brown robe. Some of you are super fans, right? Right, Shane? You're over there somewhere, yeah. And so my job was to basically take this, clean it up, because this was a negative that never got made. This shot was omitted from the movie. They wanted to add a scene where Han Solo is running to the Millennium Falcon and Jabba the Hutt is there. Jabba the Hutt, who doesn't actually show up in the original trilogy until the third movie, but he's there, whatever he says. And Jabba, Han Solo kind of talks him out of busting him and he gets away. So this was trashed. The negative was trashed. It had not been handled well, stored well. Nobody thought Star Wars was going to be Star Wars, right? It was just a movie that was like any other movie. So it needed a lot of cleaning, a lot of touching up. And I'm going through frame by frame, quadrant by quadrant, doing my thing, touching it up. And I'm not trying to make myself sound really important, even though I was. By doing like early photoshopping, I'm basically... I'm retouching the thing. But I felt particularly proud of this one shot. And so when I got to Han Solo himself, I took specific care and detail with him. And I noticed that he had some dust on his head, his hair. I removed the dust in the hair, and his shirt had some dirt. And I was really paying special attention. His ear had a little speck of dirt. Cleaned that, cleaned everything, move on, do the rest of the shot, move on to the, through it. About 30 or 40 frames into the shot, I realized that I think I had cleaned the same speck of dirt from his ear in all 30 or 40 frames. And at this point, it was kind of too late to go back. And then I looped it up in our view station, and I noticed that he had no ear. I had just removed entirely Han Solo's ear from the shot, and it was crazy. It did not belong like that, and I felt embarrassed, but I also felt I was the new guy, so I was afraid to say anything, so I said nothing. And in dailies, we would loop the shots, and you would watch them over and over, looping on the screen, and I said nothing, and the supervisor took a close look at the shot. Looks good to me. Went on to the next shot. And so to this day, there is a moment in the Star Wars universe, ladies and gentlemen, that Han Solo has no ear because of me. That is true. That is true. That is not in any of the fan things. And this, was really related to my journey to SATE for no reason. That was just a segue I made at the beginning to try to get some sympathy. But it truly was a moment, I think, when I look back at this now, of the sort of the fusion of, and maybe conflicting relationship between technology and art in service of telling a story, right? And, I've had a nice career in the visual effects industry for quite some time. And the thing that truly did bring me here today and why I'm part of this only happened less than a year ago. I work for Tippett Studio, and to be blunt, because of the universe and tax incentives and things like that, studios that are California-based need to look at other revenue streams and other sources of doing that kind of work, because Hollywood isn't doing those kind of things anymore. And I did an improbable pitch to a Chinese company, and next thing I know, we're in the theme park business. And while that was fun in its own way, really, it was fun in every way. It was fun for the creative, it was fun for the production, and it was most fun for the collaboration between all of the various pieces and parts and all of the people that work together really hard in a really fun way. And I am really just honored to be standing here in the room with these people. So thank you guys for what you do and how you've done it, and for trusting a schlub like me to stand up here and help to curate a program of speakers this afternoon. So give yourselves a round of applause while I segue to the next thing. So because I was newly in this business, I went to this thing called the IAPA Expo, which was drinking from a fire hose of information. And by, again, sheer luck, happenstance, I met David Price. And David introduced me to Shane Grammer, and Shane introduced me to everybody, because that's what Shane does. And if you don't know Shane, I'll introduce you to Shane. He'll introduce you to everybody. And next thing I know, I am the co-chair of SATE. So what I guess I'm trying to say from all of this is, again, like appreciation for bringing somebody in and doing this, or another sucker is born every minute, and you got me. And so here I am, signed up. That did not get the laugh I thought I would have. Hold for laughter. No, I'm just kidding. Now is an incredible time to be a part of this industry. It's really evolving. I mean, the fact that people that aren't, say, from the visual effects, or rather from the theme park industry, are like me, are doing this, I think is a sign of the continued growth of where it's going and what's happening, and the fact that every project, every year, things are really advancing and pushing on both the creative side, but also on the technology side. So that is truly my segue to this afternoon's program, which is going to feature 2 solo speakers and 1 panel discussion that is going to cover a number of areas along the technology threshold. Now, I want to say also in advance that almost all of the speakers were reticent when I said you're going to be part of the technology presentation, because nobody wants to be thought of as a technology person. We are all storytellers, are we not? So even the most technological person is like, well, but really what I'm doing is telling a story. I'm just using lighting. So what we have is we're going to look at the cutting edge R&D that can immerse, the widest-eyed child or the most jaded skeptic in the world into suspending their disbelief. We're going to listen to a data maven who is going to challenge us to really open our eyes to some dark realities of our own manifestations and invite discourse among us, the people who can actually bring change where it's needed most. And then our panel discussion, which will be, I promise you, very unpanel discussion-like. And back to me, because I'm really the most, that's what you came for, right? Yeah. I came here to learn and to grow and to share and to participate, and I'm thrilled to help bridge these worlds together as we continue to tell powerful, mysterious, exciting, and meaningful stories to people who need them.